Hello friends, my name is Siddharth Singh and I have total 11 plus years of IT experience across different technologies. And today I am going to talk about Big Data and Hadoop. So before I talk about Big Data and Hadoop, let's try to get basics of data. So data is a collection of values, characters, numbers or any unprocessed information stored in your system can be called as data. So what we really do with this data? So we store the data, then we process this data using our application and convert into information which is used for our analysis and getting the insights. So what are the different sources from where we are getting this data? So the different sources I have listed out here. The one is online retailing, social networking, mobile applications, cameras, sensors, satellites, computer programs, and a lot of other sources also. If you look at the sources, these sources are really changing along with the time. If you go back 10-15 years, then you will see at that time we had the sources in the form of files or in form of RDBMS. But now if you look at these sources like online retailing system, social networking, mobiles, these sources evolved over next 10-15 years. And this application, which is a kind of directly interface with the data and data is with these sources, so these applications built around 10-15 years back was able to process the data like files and RDBMS, which was kind of our old data sources. But now since we have added a new different type of sources and these sources are actually generating the data of different dynamics. I will talk about the dynamics in a little bit. So since these sources are generating data in a different dynamics, a new term a new term came that we call as a big data. So what really is big data? So big data is any data having these three specific properties. What are these properties? The volume, velocity and variety. I will talk for each. Volume. So any data or any sources generating a huge volume of the data. When I say huge volume, I am talking in terms of gigabytes, terabytes and the petabytes comes under big data. So if you closely look at these sources, online retailing system, social networking site and the mobile applications, as you know, all across the world people are using it. So these applications are really generating a huge volume of the data and that's why it comes under big data. Second property we have is the velocity. Velocity means the speed of generation of the data per unit time, and you will see these sources are really generating the data at a very high speed because lot people are using these sites and lot of logs are generated at the back end. Lot of people are purchasing the project, lot of people are interacting with each other. So due to this, lot of users, lot of advertisements, lot of sales purchases, the velocity of the data is very high. Next is the variety. Variety means the different variety of the data, different types of the data like audio files, text file, images, logs, emails. So these sources are really generating a variety of the data, and the application we have is really unable to process this big data because big data have these three properties. So now big data wanted to have a another system which can really store and process this big data. So now Hadoop is one of the solution which provides a kind of a unified framework which can store and process the data and then convert into information. So this Hadoop is like a single complete framework in itself. It's not an application, it's a set of tools which can really store the data and process the data effectively, which our current application is unable to support. We will talk in more detail why it is unable to support and why Hadoop is able to support it. Now I will go back to my slides where I will show you the definitions and what are the strengths of Hadoop and why we really need to understand about the Hadoop. So the big data I already discussed, like any data having high in volume, high in velocity, and different variety of the data can be categorized in a big data. So big data is not a special kind of a data, it is just a same data having these three specific property. So this is just one special or specific category of a data. And since it is a very specific category of the data, our traditional applications or the applications we have in our organization is unable to process and store it. So again, we needed a specific kind of a solution or a system which really can store and process this big data. So now I will discuss about the Hadoop strength and like why Hadoop is kind of necessary. So it should have few strengths, like Hadoop system is reliable and the fault tolerant. So now what is the meaning of reliable and fault tolerant? So reliable and fault tolerant means you really can rely on the system, and this system is a fault tolerant so that you can recover your data even if there is some hardware and the software failure happens. So you really don't want to lose your data just because of a hardware and a software failure. You want your data to be safe and you can recover your data if any something wrong happens. So Hadoop really provides a mechanism so that your data is always in safe hands. So this is one of the most important property that you want to keep in mind, the future trend of the data and the type of data we are generating along with the time. Next is the scalability. Scalability means you can scale your system or add more and more hardware as we go along with the time, because you really want your system to be kind of horizontally scalable to a large extent along with the time, because the volume of the data is keep on going, and you want your system to be highly scalable, and the scalability should be very easy to do. It's not like it should be very complex process. It should be like just attach a hardware and you are done. So this Hadoop provides a very highly scalable system and also in a very easy manner. Next is cost effective. Since you are generating a huge volume, a huge variety and very high velocity, and you want to store the data in a system, you want your system to be very cost effective and very economical, because you have to store lot of data and you can't spend too much money on storage and the processing. So you want that system to be very cost effective in manner. So Hadoop provides that solution so that it is very cost effective. And there is one more property that I forgot to return. It should able to store anything or any data. As we saw earlier, the new sources are generating data of different types: audio, video, logs, emails. So you want your system to store any type of the data, and also along with the time we don't know what type of sources we may have and what type of data we may be generating. So our future system should be able to store and process any type of the data, and Hadoop provides a mechanism to do that. Let me go forward and see the data growth we have all across. So if you see from 2008 till 2015, you will see there is an enormous growth in data volume. You see, this is the data in the petabytes, and in 2008 we had less data, and now in 2015 you will see the how much data we have grown. And you see, especially in category of unstructured data, the growth is very much high. See the growth, this is unstructured data. So now our current application is really not possible to store and process the unstructured data. When I say unstructured, it means without schema. So like audio, video, logs, emails, so these type of data doesn't have any schema, and current application can't store and process this unstructured type of data. So the data growth prediction, as we discussed also, like the data is really growing enormously, and as per the IDC, unstructured data is growing at the rate of 62% per year, and it will grow to 40 gigabytes by 2020, resulting in 50-fold growth from the beginning of 2010. And if you see below, you will see the units of data, and you can assume how big is 1 gigabyte is. Now, this is the one of the kind of most important question that people ask. Okay, Hadoop is there, data is generating, Hadoop is storing and processing, but what's for me? Why I need to learn? Why I should learn about this? So the thing is, this Hadoop system or this big data is being used irrespective of IT world versus non-IT, because it relates to the foundation of any application, that is data. Any industry like information, manufacturing, finance, every industry, whether it belongs to IT or a non-IT world, is dealing with data. If it's dealing with data, then it has to deal with big data, and if it has to deal with big data, then it has to implement a Hadoop solution or any big data solution which can store and process the big data. So if you are learning about this technology and entering in the world of big data, then you are really diversifying your career, and you will not be specific to the IT world. So once you learn about it, you can fit into any sector irrespective of IT versus non-IT, because it is not a kind of very like specific to any industry. It is just relates to the underlying base, which is data of all the industry. So you are concentrating more on a base. So next, you will see the big data market growth, because now every industry or every sectors understood the value of a data. So now they are really storing and processing this data, because Hadoop provides the solution for it, and in a very cost effective manner. So every sector is really using it. So if you see in 2017, the market of big data will be grown too much high. Again, the salary of Hadoop professionals or Hadoop technologies are really very high comparing to the other technologies we have in the market, because other technologies is unable to process the the type of the data that we are generating these days, and Hadoop is able to process in a very effective manner. Again, the different type of job roles we have in the market. So as I said, Hadoop is not a single application or a single tool. It's a complete ecosystem or a set of tools. So if it's a set of tools and a different technologies, then we need a different kind of roles in each component or in each tool. So there you can see a different roles like data scientist, developer, engineer, machine learning, business analyst. So whenever you will be working in a big data kind of a team or a Hadoop team, it will be like a complete team where a lot of people working in a different roles. So it's not just a developer role or an ETL role. You may get into a lot of roles when you try to learn Hadoop depending on your competency. Is there anything for me? Yes, sure. Because it is not a single technology. This is a complete ecosystem which comprises of lot of tools. And since we have a lot of tools and technologies around it, you can learn any of the tool or any of the technology which is like resembles with your profile or your portfolio, or which technology you really like or you feel comfortable. So it has given space for everybody to learn. So let me clear few of the myths. There is a myth in the market like this is only for the Java guys. This is really not true. Hadoop is written in Java, but it's not just Java. It has storage, MapReduce programming, SQL-like interface, big Latin scripting, NoSQL database, machine learning, real-time processing. So there are a lot of tools and technologies surrounding Hadoop, and you can learn any of the technology which fits in your competency or which one fits in your portfolio. Like if you are comfortable more on SQL, then you can like SQL interface. If you are comfortable more on scripting side, you can learn scripting interface. If you are comfortable more on like NoSQL database, or more like you know more about the database, you can learn about the NoSQL database and so on. So different type of technology surrounding it, and you can learn any of them based on your competency. Next is people say this is difficult to learn because it's a ecosystem. This is also not true. Even though we all agree that it's not possible to learn the complete Hadoop, since a lot of interface are kind of interacting and a lot of tools are there in Hadoop, but as I said, you can learn the interface based on your competency or based on what you like, and you can still interact with the Hadoop. So it gives you a space to learn, and then you can really find a good job outside. How can I get a job when I didn't start yet? Yes, you really can. This is a kind of still emerging field in the market. Still, there is a huge demand relates to the Hadoop and the big data technology. So, as early as you start learning Hadoop, you can enter into it, as people are still learning and still leveraging Hadoop for their solution. And there are a lot of companies which have not even started like using Hadoop because they didn't even realized yet. But since every company, and based on the data they are getting, and based on like the cost effective solution it is offering, all the organizations has to get into this technology. And if all the technology will be Hadoop, then they would need the professionals which really know Hadoop, and then you can get into easily. It takes a lot of time to learn. This is the next myth, but the basic understanding or the kind of an overview will take 2 or 3 months to get about the Hadoop ecosystem, and then again based on your competency and liking, you can deep dive in any of the interface you want to learn. Next is what after Hadoop. So I am not saying just learn Hadoop and just stop, get a job and just stop it. There is a huge world of big data. You can further move into data science, and there are a lot of other big data frameworks which are coming in the market. Depending on the sources that we are adding along with the time, and depending on what is our requirement and how we want to store and the process this data. So there is a limitless opportunity further even after you learn Hadoop. So because once you get a job in Hadoop, you are kind of making a safe and secure future of yourself, because this technology is going to rule in another 10 to 15 years at least. If not Hadoop, then another framework will come which will again will be able to store and process the sources which we are adding day by day. So it's like we also needs to change along with the sources that we are adding day by day, and since sources are changing and you are changing your application, so your skills also needs to be changed along with time. If you will be stick to the same application and the same technologies which were built long back to process your older sources, then you will be behind the market. And anyhow, all the organization has to shift into the big data world if they really want to utilize their data, if they really want to grow their business. So if you shift into the big data world, then you have lot many opportunity in a way further. So this is all about it today, and thank you for watching my video. If you like, please comment, and I also have uploaded few more videos regarding more detailed discussion on big data storage. Then I discussed about processing and other thing. So please watch my channel. Thank you.